In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about learning through experience or experiential learning, in particular, how we can start using insights from the biology of the human mind to better understand and facilitate learning of key development concepts, especially among illiterate populations. But first, let me start by talking to you about fast cars. Ferrari is a fast car. It can accelerate from 0 to 100 miles an hour in less than 7 seconds and can reach upwards of 220 miles per hour. But how fast is that really? Imagine my job was to convince you that 220 miles per hour is really, really fast. How would I go about doing that? I could give you data on specs and performance, perhaps show you pictures of how big the engine is, or draw comparisons for you so you can appreciate the car's acceleration. Alternatively, I could put you in a Ferrari with a professional race car driver and have you experience 220 miles per hour. Which do you think will be more effective in gaining an appreciation of speed? Clearly, the latter. The reason is in the biology of our brain and the way we learn. The experience of a Ferrari stands out. It is concrete and salient. It provides opportunities for instantaneous reflection and updating of prior beliefs. And finally, it is memorable without having to tax the cognitively heavy systems of attention or memory. Because of these factors, the Ferrari experience will likely stay with you for a very, very long time. This is all great, but what's the link to development? More importantly, can we use learning through experience or experiential learning as a development policy tool? This is the starting premise of our work in South Africa, where we apply and test experiential learning as a tool to debias individuals and households against playing the national lottery or national lotto. But why the lotto? Well, from a development perspective, gambling crowds out a lot of household consumption, and lotteries in particular are a hugely regressive tax, with poorer households spending a much larger share of their income on lottery tickets. Yet, the likelihood that they would ever win the big prize is very, very small. So the natural question is, why do people buy lottery tickets if they're such a bad deal? The naive answer is that perhaps we're all a little stupid and tend to prefer the red pill and stay in Wonderland rather than the blue pill and wake up to reality. However, we can't make development policy based on the matrix. Fundamentally, we'd all like to believe that we're not stupid. Turns out that playing the lottery is an example of where our human brain deceives us. Researchers have studied this phenomena and discovered that it's not that we're stupid, but that we tend to grossly overestimate our winning odds, especially when such small odds are unlikely to be experienced in any other aspect of our lives. The lotto knows this and takes advantage of it. The lotto also makes winning more attainable to everyone by showcasing winners who are ordinary folks, maybe the grocery store clerk. The lotto also advertises big, ringing bells and popping balloons and printing big checks and showing winners on TV. So individuals believe that winning the lotto is actually available to them. This is called the availability bias. So the policy question is, how can we debias individuals away from playing the lottery? We could try traditional financial literacy, but that's unlikely to work among households who can't even do basic math. We could try visualization, but the concept of probability is still very abstract and difficult to follow. How about rules of thumb? A rule of thumb such as stop gambling is unlikely to affect the biases we have talked about. How about making people experience probability? Now we're getting somewhere. Just like in the case of the Ferrari, where we developed an appreciation for speed, we can develop an appreciation for winning odds, or lack of them. How can we do this, or how did we do this in our study? We basically followed the fundamentals of a 4-stage learning cycle, common in psychology, and played simple dice games that provided a concrete experience. The game goes as follows. Each player starts with 1 die and rolls till she gets a 6. Then she is handed 2 dice and rolls till she gets 2 6s, which on average takes her much longer. Depending on how fast she is able to get 2 6s, she can reflect and update her beliefs about winning odds. Immediately after this, she is told that winning the lotto would be equivalent to her rolling all sixes on 9 dice. This is typically a light bulb moment. She is then given the option to roll 9 dice so she can test her learning. We played the simple game in rural South Africa with a sample of 840 individuals. There were 2 stages of randomization. First, that allocated individuals to treatment and control, and the second that determined treatment intensity depending on how many rolls it took players to get to 2 sixes, which was instantaneously random. We measured lottery outcomes several times over a 12-month period, with immediate outcomes and then at 6 months and 12 months. What we find is quite stark. The good news is that experiential learning really works. As you can see in this graph, those players who took a long time to get to 2 sixes, the high treatment intensity group on the right-hand side of this graph, or the right half of this graph, end up playing the lottery significantly less than the control group. However, what we also find is that those players who got lucky in our game and happened to roll sixes in fewer number of tries, the left-hand side of this graph, actually end up playing the lotto more than the control group. The takeaway is that experiential learning really does work, but it can backfire. The good news is that such perverse effects can easily be avoided by having players roll 3 dice instead of 2. It is clear that experiential learning can be a powerful tool for policy in other areas as well, such as technology adoption. Also, developing countries have significantly less division of labor, so people generally observe how their actions affect outcomes. So, if we circle back to the biology of the mind and the way we learn, there is definitely room for individuals to learn concepts and actively experiment and observe outcomes and quickly learn from mistakes. Clearly, this is a promising and fertile area for future research. Thank you very much.